So I want to address a question before I go any further going through caching, and that is performance. So someone asked how much faster, how much better performance do we get from using caching with Redis over using, for example, something like our database and doing a query. Because really that's the whole reason why we are introducing caching in the first place, is to improve the performance. Because you can see it's actually more complex than just doing a single database query, at least in this case. So to time this, so we really want to benchmark it or figure out how much time it takes for each one. And a trick I like to use is console.time. So how console.time works is you give it a key. So I'm going to call this Redis, and then I'm just going to say const result. So this is our entire block right here that we want to see how long this takes to run. So we're going to say time end, and then you say Redis. So it's going to tell us how long this whole thing takes to run. And I'm just going to return the result. And now if I start up my server and I were to query that, I can see how long in milliseconds that will take. So let's go ahead and run that. And we can see it take 0.78 milliseconds to execute that, so pretty fast. Now what we really want to do is compare this to what our database does. So I'm going to say console.time database, console.timeEnd, and I'm going to say result2 is equal to await listing dot find. And now we can see whether the database or the Redis one is faster. And I'm just going to put that here so this is used. And let's go ahead and run this again. And now we can see the Redis one took under a millisecond, whereas the database one took 4 milliseconds. So indeed, Redis is faster, and we can run this a couple more times. You can get a couple more just sequences or see how much the difference in speed is there. Now, again, the database one is pretty fast, and I think in this case, I wouldn't even consider doing something like Redis or adding caching with Redis in this case. It's one of those things where you only really want to add caching when you need to improve the performance or the performance is getting slow. So the database is pretty fast, but as you can see, the Redis one is pretty much more than 4 times faster, probably like 10 times faster it looks like. Again, but this is also just on my computer, so we have it deployed on Redis, or not Redis, but Heroku as well. So what I want to do is push this to Heroku and also compare what it looks like on my local computer versus on Heroku. Alright, so I deployed my code up to Heroku, and here is the Heroku GraphQL playground. I'm at this URL, and then I just went ahead and queried find listings a couple times, and then ran Heroku logs to take a look at what the results were. And you can see here are the results. Sometimes, pretty much every time, Redis is faster than the database. I don't see any. It's a little bit faster here and here. But it doesn't really matter how fast it's going on my computer. It kind of matters how fast it's going in production or in Heroku, because this is where users are going to be using it. So this is where I might say, all right, it looks like our slowest time for the database is 32 milliseconds. You'll notice it runs faster on my computer, which makes sense because my computer is more powerful than the free Heroku Dynamo that I'm using. But we can push this a couple more times and we could get more results, and we could be like, yeah, this query is worth caching because maybe that's too slow for you guys or whatever. So that's something you can use to gauge whether you should cache something or you shouldn't cache something. Is you can use this console.time and timeEnd to see the difference between 2 different ways to do the same thing. So that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching.